Please, the gentleman from South Carolina rise. Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm just back from a trip led by our colleague Steve Lynch to Afghanistan and Pakistan. And what we saw there, Mr. Speaker, was America's best doing incredible work. The U.S. military is clearly the best trained, best equipped, and most disciplined fighting force in the world. I'm committed to keeping it that way and to supplying them with the resources they need to get their work done. I'm also committed to confining their mission to achievable objectives and to the protection of Americans' national security interest. There were many memorable moments from this trip, Mr. Speaker. When we stepped off the plane in Pakistan, the first person I saw was Lieutenant Colonel Rick Simmons of Pickens, South Carolina. Formerly the Veterans Affairs Officer at Pickens County, Colonel Simmons is now the Chief of Protocol in the Office of the Defense Representative to Pakistan. Skipping a dinner with a delegation gave me the opportunity to have dinner with Colonel Simmons and 7 other American service personnel at Simmons' apartment in Islamabad. In Kabul, Afghanistan, I talked with Susan Anderson, who is serving in the American Embassy as an economic analyst. Susan is a graduate of Union High School and the College of Charleston. In Kandahar, I met 2 members of the National Guard unit from Welford, South Carolina, which deployed recently to Afghanistan, Justin Maccabee of Travelers Rest and Zach Gregg of Pelzer. Justin's home is about 5 miles from mine. Passing by Benson Road as I travel on Highway 25 North will remind me to pray for Justin and those serving with him. He's on the explosive ordnance detonation team. When I thanked him for serving our country and tried to compliment him on doing his very dangerous work, he gave me the standard response of our incredible all-volunteer force. "It's my job, sir." At dinner hosted by America's ambassador, Mr. Eikenberry, with female members of the Afghan parliament, we were called on to offer comments. I used my remarks to remember Jeff Whitsitt of Travelers Rest, who was killed last month by an improvised explosive device in Afghanistan. I wanted them to hear his name in Afghanistan exactly 1 week to the hour after the upstate paused for his funeral. I wanted them to know how precious his life was to his parents, to his brother, and to our mutual friends. I wanted them to understand that Jeff died for the protection of America. I told them that we were willing to give our treasure in Afghanistan to help build their nation because we are sure that using our creativity and entrepreneurship we'll make the money back. But I told them we were willing to give the lives of our sons and daughters only for America. On this point, Mr. Speaker, we must be clear. While we're hunting down terrorists, we're going to give the Afghan people the opportunity to reject al-Qaeda outsiders and to build a future free of the Taliban. The Afghan people should seize the opportunity, as it will not last indefinitely. At present, more of America's best are arriving in Afghanistan. They're there to kill terrorists. They're there to facilitate the work of an army of American civil servants and contractors who can show a way forward to a stable constitutional republic. They're there to serve America's national security interest by draining a terrorist cesspool. But there will come a day when the brave men and women of America's armed forces will have completed their work. Not that they will have taken out every terrorist, for that would be impossible. But there will come a day when we will have destroyed enough of the terrorist network reasonably safe from murderous plottings, at least from within Afghanistan's borders. Until then, we fight on, committed to finishing the job, clear-eyed and determined to avoid mission creep. The trip also included crew rest stops in Romania and in Tunisia. In Tunisia, we visited the World War II-era North Africa American Cemetery and Memorial near Tunis, where 2,841 Americans are buried and 3,724 missing Americans are memorialized on a limestone wall called the Tablets of the Missing. After a wreath-laying ceremony, the delegation walked among the graves. It's especially meaningful to walk among the graves with 2 of our young military escorts, Sergeant Rob Minnell and Sergeant Aaron Moss. We tend to think of the members of the greatest generation as granddads, but they weren't granddads as they were serving in World War II. They were young, very young, as young as the two Army sergeants who were accompanying us on this trip. I was grateful for the opportunity to tell those sergeants how much their service means to me and to all Americans. And I was grateful to remember why freedom is worth fighting for. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back.